During dinner, my mother announced her intention to sell the family business, stating I wouldn't receive a dime. My siblings scoffed, predicting I'd always be poor. But their laughter turned to shock when I revealed the buyer's identity. I'm Jessica, and this is the most intricate Christmas dinner story you'll ever hear. 8 years. That's how long I'd avoided Boston, my family, and everything that made me feel insignificant. Yet, last December, sitting in my Austin apartment, staring at the formal invitation penned in my mother's familiar hand, I knew it was time. The flight seemed longer than usual. I carry-on held a manila folder containing documents that would alter everything, though no one was aware yet. The Morrison family home was unchanged, a modest 2-story colonial in Jamaica Plain, its green shutters and white picket fence needing a fresh coat of paint. Mom's old sedan was in the driveway, beside Marcus's pickup. Warm light streamed from the dining room windows. I rang the doorbell instead of using my old key. When Mom opened the door, her face registered surprise, then confusion, and finally, what might have been relief. "Jessica," she whispered, her voice smaller than I remembered. We didn't think you'd actually come, the invitation. Said Christmas dinner at 6, I replied. It's 5:55. Inside, the house carried the scent of roasted turkey and old memories. Dad was setting the table, his hair grayer than in Marcus's infrequent online photos. Marcus himself was opening wine, already looking a bit flushed. David appeared exhausted, dark circles beneath his eyes. "Look who decided to bless us with her presence," Marcus quipped. "The prodigal daughter returns," Marcus's dad warned softly. "What?" 8 years, Jess. 8 years of nothing. We didn't even know if you were alive. I removed my coat. I've been busy. "Doing what exactly?" Mom asked. "Last we heard, you were doing computer work in Texas." Something like that. Dinner conversation felt forced. They discussed local news, Dad's retirement plans, Marcus's sales figures. I mostly observed, noting their aging, how family dynamics had shifted, yet remained fundamentally the same. During dessert, Mom cleared her throat in a way that signaled important news. "I suppose this is as good a time as any," she said, looking at me. "We're selling the company." The room hushed. My heart quickened. Morrison Medical Devices is being acquired by Phoenix Solutions. The deal closes January 15th. Her voice held a mix of relief and resignation. It's for $2.8 million. Marcus nearly choked. $2.8 million? Mom, that's barely what Grandpa's equipment was worth its fare, considering our situation. I knew precisely the situation she meant. I'd been tracking the company's public records. David had even called me 6 months prior. Phoenix Solutions, I mused aloud. "Tell me about them." "It's a small company, very professional," Dad offered. "They specialize in modernizing. Medical equipment manufacturers. They want to keep all employees, maintain local operations." "That's generous. We're lucky they made an offer," Mom admitted. "We're 6 months from bankruptcy." Nodded slowly, then reached for my purse. "I have something to tell you all." I pulled out the manila folder. "Phoenix Solutions, the company buying Morrison Medical Devices. I own it." Profound silence. Marcus's fork clattered. Mom turned pale. David stared, jaw agape. Dad merely blinked. "That's not possible," Mom whispered. I opened the folder, spreading documents across the table. Business licenses, incorporation papers, tax filings, all bearing my name as CEO and sole owner. I started Phoenix Solutions 6 years ago in Austin. We specialize in modernizing small medical equipment manufacturers. "You're buying us out?" Marcus asked quietly. "I bought you out. The paperwork is filed." I've been the mystery buyer for 3 months. I scanned their stunned faces. 8 years of silence. And this was how I chose to break it. "How about we start with why I left," I said. "Then I'll tell you how a girl who was told she'd never understand business just saved the family company. Let me paint a picture of how Morrison Medical Devices truly operated. My grandfather founded it in 1987, assembling heart monitors in his garage for local clinics that couldn't afford expensive equipment for major manufacturers. By the time I was born, it had become a modest operation with 25 employees and a factory in Dorchester. When Grandpa passed away 12 years ago, Mom inherited everything. She'd worked there since college, handling administration and customer relations. She knew the business inside and out, but held very specific ideas about operations. The most crucial rule: women didn't grasp the technical side of medical devices. This was ironic, given Mom managed the entire operation. But in her mind, there was a clear division. She could handle business, finances, and customers, but actual engineering, product development, that was men's work. Marcus was the favored child, the heir apparent. At 35, he'd worked at Morrison Medical for 8 years, officially as sales director. In reality, he managed relationships with precisely 3 clients, all personal connections. His father-in-law ran a clinic in Quincy. His college roommate worked at a medical supply company, and his golf buddy managed purchasing for a nursing home chain. That was Marcus's entire sales network, generating perhaps $200,000 in annual revenue. Yet Mom spoke of him as a business genius. Marcus has such a natural way with people, she'd say. He understands relationship building in a way that can't be taught. What she really meant was he was charming enough to maintain existing relationships, but utterly incapable of generating new business. Then there was David, my younger brother, who was genuinely brilliant. He held a degree in biomedical engineering from Northeastern and could troubleshoot any equipment blindfolded. When clients called with issues, David resolved them. When equipment needed upgrading, David found solutions on a shoestring budget. When the FDA required new compliance documentation, David researched and implemented it. For this, he earned $38,000 annually, while Marcus pulled down $55,000 for playing golf with old friends. Dad's role was intentionally minimal. He handled basic bookkeeping using software installed in 1994, processed payroll, and managed inventory. Mom liked having him involved enough to feel important, but not enough to actually influence decisions. The company's financials were exactly what you'd expect. Annual revenue of $450,000, with an 8% profit margin. Not terrible for a small manufacturing business, but not thriving either. They were stuck in maintenance mode, doing just enough to stay afloat, never growing, never innovating, never positioning for the future. I'd grown up observing all this, spending summers and weekends at the factory, listening to Grandpa explain how monitors functioned, why design choices mattered, and what made their products unique. By 16, I could calibrate a heart monitor faster than most technicians. I understood the engineering principles, regulatory requirements, and market dynamics. None of this mattered to Mom. I was the daughter. Daughters didn't grow up to run medical device companies. I could help with filing answer phones during busy periods, handle administrative tasks that didn't require technical knowledge, but actual engineering, business strategy, those were serious responsibilities requiring serious people, meaning men. This was the dynamic I grew up in. A family business where capability was randomly distributed, but recognition followed a strict patriarchal hierarchy. Marcus earned respect for mediocre results. David was overlooked despite excellent work. I was dismissed before I even had a chance to prove myself. The day everything changed happened on a Tuesday in March, 8 years ago. I was 24, freshly. Graduated from MIT with a software engineering degree, bursting with ideas about modernizing Morrison Medical Devices. I'd spent my senior year developing a software system that could integrate with existing heart monitors to provide predictive analytics. Instead of merely measuring heart rate and rhythm, the system could identify patterns indicating potential problems before they became emergencies. It wasn't groundbreaking by Silicon Valley standards, but for small clinics using basic equipment, it could be revolutionary. The software ran on a simple tablet, interfaced via Bluetooth, and provided early warning systems that could save lives. I'd worked on this for months, staying up until 3 a.m., skipping social events, fueled by coffee and determination. I knew it could work for Morrison Medical. Our monitors were reliable, but basic, exactly the type that could benefit from smart software integration. The opportunity arose when Mom scheduled a meeting with potential investors. Two men from a local investment group were coming to discuss providing capital for expansion. Mom had been treating this as the most important business development in company history. I saw this as my chance. I prepared a presentation demonstrating how predictive software could differentiate Morrison Medical from every other small manufacturer in the region. I had working prototypes, market research, regulatory analysis, everything serious investors would want. The morning of the meeting, I arrived early and set up my laptop in the conference room. Mom found me around 9 o'clock, reviewing slides. "Are you doing?" she asked. "It's getting ready for the presentation. I want to show the investors my software integration project." Her face cycled through several expressions before settling on something between amusement and annoyance. "Jessica, honey, this is a serious business meeting. These men are considering investing real money." "I know. That's why I want to show them how we can differentiate ourselves with your little computer project." The dismissiveness should have warned me, but I was too excited. "It's not little, Mom. This software could transform how small clinics use monitoring equipment. We could charge premium prices instead of competing on cost." She sighed and sat down. "Jessica, I know you're proud of your college work. But this is the real world. These investors want proven business models, not experimental technology." "It's not experimental. I have working prototypes made for a school project." The investors arrived at 11 o'clock. Mr. Thompson and Mr. Walsh from Boston Medical Ventures. They looked exactly like the serious businessmen Mom had been preparing. Mom welcomed them and began with her overview of Morrison Medical Devices. She was quite good at this part. Then Marcus stumbled through 15 minutes about expanding sales territory. His presentation was full of vague statements about leveraging relationships and identifying opportunities. The investors listened politely but without enthusiasm. When Marcus finished, there was an awkward silence. Finally, Mr. Thompson asked, "What about product development? Any new technologies or innovations?" I started to stand, but Mom cut me off. "We're always looking at improvements. But our focus is reliability and cost-effectiveness rather than experimental technologies." "What about software integration?" Mr. Walsh asked. "Most growth in medical devices comes from smart systems interfacing with hospital networks." I couldn't stay quiet. "Actually, we do have a software integration project. I've developed a system that transforms basic monitors into predictive analytics platforms." The room went silent. Mom's face turned red. "Jessica, enough," Mom said, using a frustrated tone. "This is serious business for serious men." Something snapped inside me. "I'm not playing. I'm trying to save this company." "Jessica, that's enough. Why don't you go organize the storage room files? Let the adults handle this." Closed my laptop, gathered my materials, and walked out. I didn't just leave the meeting. I left the building, drove home, packed a suitcase, and bought a one-way ticket to Austin. Austin in March was nothing like Boston. The weather was warmer, people seemed more relaxed, and nobody cared what family I came from. I landed with $4,500 in savings, a suitcase, a laptop containing the software project that had led to my exile. The first month was brutal. I rented a room near the university for $400 a month, sharing a bathroom with 3 others and sleeping on a thrift store mattress. My roommates were a graduate student, a musician, and someone who claimed to be an artist but mostly played video games. They were younger than me, but they were all I could afford. Finding work wasn't easy. Austin's tech scene was booming, but companies wanted either senior developers with years of experience or junior developers willing to work for almost nothing. I was somewhere in the middle, too experienced for intern wages, not experienced enough for senior salaries. I took freelance projects, building websites for local businesses, fixing computer problems, teaching myself new programming languages at night. Some weeks I'd make $800, others, nothing. I lived on ramen noodles, peanut butter sandwiches, and convenience store coffee. But here's the thing about being completely on your own with no safety net. It clarifies priorities very quickly. Every project mattered because I needed money. Every skill could mean the difference between making rent and sleeping in my car. There was no family business to fall back on, No assumptions about what I was capable of. After 6 months, I was making enough freelance income to feel stable. I hadn't forgotten the software project that started this journey. Evenings, I continued developing the predictive analytics system, improving algorithms, refining interfaces, and researching regulatory requirements. The breakthrough came at a medical technology conference downtown. I'd spent $200 I couldn't afford, hoping to learn about industry trends and make professional contacts. The conference was full of people from major manufacturers, hospital, administrators, and venture capitalists. During a lunch break, I was sitting alone, reviewing notes, when someone approached. "Excuse me, are you Jessica from Boston?" I looked up to see a man in his 60s wearing a badge identifying him as Dr. Lannister from Austin Regional Clinic. It took me a moment, but then I remembered. He was one of the clients at Morrison Medical the day of my humiliating presentation. "Dr. Lannister, I didn't expect to see anyone from Boston here. I moved my practice to Austin last year. Better weather, lower costs, fewer regulations. But what are you doing in Texas? Last time I saw you, your mother was sending you to organize files." The memory stung, but I managed to smile. "I moved here after college. I'm working as a software developer now." "What kind of software?" "Actually, I'm still working on that predictive analytics system I mentioned at Morrison Medical. The one that integrates with standard heart monitors to provide early warning capabilities." His eyes lit up immediately. "The system your mother dismissed. You're still developing that?" I never stopped. "It's better now. It's more accurate. Pattern recognition, easier interface, better integration protocols." Dr. Lannister sat down. "Can you show me?" I opened my laptop and demonstrated the entire system for 30 minutes, how it connected to equipment, how algorithms identified concerning patterns, how the interface presented actionable information to medical staff. "This is exactly what we need," he said when I finished. "Small clinics like mine can't afford sophisticated monitoring systems that hospitals use. But we see higher-risk patients who could benefit from predictive analytics. How much would this cost?" I did quick calculations for a complete system: software licensing, tablet hardware, setup, and training. Probably around $15,000. $15,000. To upgrade our basic monitoring to predictive analytics? That's right. He handed me his business card. "I want to be your first customer. Can you have a working system ready in 60 days? Looked at the card, then his expectant face. This was everything I'd dreamed of in that Boston conference room. "Yes, I can have it ready in 60 days. That night I called my landlord about renting the office space above the house. I registered Phoenix Solutions as a sole proprietorship, opened a business account, and started working 18-hour days to deliver Dr. Lannister's system on schedule. Years 2 through 6 of Phoenix Solutions were about building something sustainable rather than just surviving. The initial success with Dr. Lannister and his referrals gave me confidence and capital to think bigger. But I was determined to grow strategically. By year 2, I generated $220,000 in revenue and faced my first major decision: stay small and manageable, or hire people and scale up. I could see market demand was larger than I could handle alone. My first hire was Raj, a software developer I'd met at a local tech meet. He was brilliant, but stuck at a consulting firm working on boring corporate databases while dreaming of building something meaningful. I offered him $45,000 plus equity in Phoenix Solutions, a pay cut, but with the promise of working on technology that saved lives. "You're sure this medical software actually works?" he asked during our coffee shop interview. "Dr. Lannister's clinic has prevented 4 cardiac emergencies in 6 months using our predictive alerts," I told him. "Heart attacks. Caught early because the software identified concerning patterns before patients felt symptoms." That sold him. Raj was everything I'd hoped. Technically excellent, completely reliable, genuinely excited about improving healthcare through better technology. My second hire was Maria, a UX designer who understood that medical software needed to be intuitive for busy doctors and nurses. She'd worked at healthcare companies and knew how to make complex analytics accessible to medical professionals with no time for complicated systems. The third team member was Tom, an electronics technician who could interface our software with any monitoring equipment This was crucial because small practices typically had whatever equipment they could afford, often from different manufacturers with different connection protocols. With this team of 4, Phoenix Solutions could deliver complete integrated systems, software, hardware, installation, training, and ongoing support. Our sweet spot became small to medium clinics that wanted sophisticated monitoring, but couldn't afford hospital-grade systems costing hundreds of thousands. Our typical installation cost clients $8,000. It's much cheaper than competing solutions, but profitable enough to support our growing team. The key was volume and efficiency. We could install and configure a complete system in half a day, train medical staff in 2 hours, and provide remote support for any issues. Year 3 brought $480,000 in revenue with 12 active client sites across Texas and Oklahoma. We'd found our rhythm. Raj improved software based on user feedback. Maria refined interfaces to be more intuitive. And I managed client relationships and business development. The real breakthrough came in year 4 when we landed our first hospital contract. Austin Regional Hospital had heard about our work with local clinics and wanted to pilot our system in their emergency department. Hospitals were completely different, more bureaucratic, longer sales cycles, more complex approvals, but much larger contracts. The hospital pilot was successful enough that they implemented it throughout their cardiac care units, generating a single contract worth $150,000. More importantly, it gave us credibility with other hospitals and opened an entirely new market segment. By year 5, we were doing business in 4 states, with 23 installations ranging from single doctor practices to regional medical centers. Revenue hit $600,000. I faced another scaling decision: stay regional and manageable, or try to grow into a national company. I chose careful growth instead of trying to cover the entire country. We focused on specific regions where we could provide excellent service and build strong reputations. Texas and Oklahoma became our home base, but we expanded into Louisiana, Arkansas, and New Mexico states, where we could drive to client sites if needed. Year 6 brought $750,000 in revenue with 38 active installations. We'd outgrown the office above my old rental house and moved into a proper business complex. Phoenix Solutions had become exactly what I'd envisioned: a sustainable business that improved healthcare while generating profit to support everyone involved. But success brought new challenges. Larger competitors were starting to notice our market segment. Healthcare regulations were becoming more complex. Client expectations were rising as our reputation grew. Most importantly, I was thinking about the next phase of development. We'd proven our technology worked, and there was substantial demand. The question was whether to continue growing gradually or make a bigger play for market leadership. The call from David came on a Thursday afternoon in November, 5 years after I'd left Boston. I was reviewing quarterly reports when my phone rang with a number I hadn't seen in years, but still recognized. "Jessica, it's David, your brother David." I set down the reports. "Hi, David. This is unexpected. No, we haven't talked since you left, and I know this is weird, but I need to ask you something." He paused, and I could hear office noise in the background. "Do you know anyone who might be interested in buying a medical device company?" The question hung in the air. What kind of medical device company? Small one. Family-owned, makes heart monitors and basic diagnostic equipment. Has some good client relationships, but needs modernization and better management. I knew he was talking about Morrison Medical, but I played along. "What's the situation? Why are they looking to sell?" David sighed deeply. "The company's in trouble, Jess. Real trouble. We've lost 2 of our 5 biggest clients in the past year. Equipment orders are down 40%. We're carrying about $180,000 in debt, and cash flow is negative. This was worse than I'd expected from my research." "What's causing the problems?" "Honestly, we're stuck in the past. Our monitors work fine, but they're basic. Clients want integrated systems, software analytics, remote monitoring capabilities. Marcus keeps saying we should stick with what we know, but what we know isn't what the market wants anymore." I found myself genuinely concerned for David. He'd always been the most technically competent person at Morrison Medical. And it sounded like he was watching the company slowly collapse while being powerless to fix it. What does your mother think about selling? She's finally admitting we might not have a choice. The bank is pressuring us about the debt, and we can't make payroll much longer without new capital or new clients. And Marcus is in denial. Dad doesn't want to get involved in family arguments. And I'm drowning trying to keep our existing systems running while also trying to develop new products. What about bringing in outside management or finding an investor instead of a buyer? Mom won't give up control to outside management, and investors want to see growth potential. We'd need to completely overhaul our product line and modernize our operations, but we don't have the capital or expertise to do that ourselves. I was quiet for a moment, processing this information. The company I'd grown up around, stable and profitable for decades, was 6 months away from bankruptcy because they'd refused to adapt to changing market conditions. David, can I ask you something? Do you remember when I proposed that software integration Project 8 years ago? He was quiet so long, I thought the call had dropped. Finally, yeah, I remember. You wanted to add predictive analytics to our basic monitors. What did you think of that idea? Another long pause. Honestly, I thought it was brilliant. I still think it was brilliant. If we'd implemented something like that back then, we'd probably be thriving instead of dying. Why didn't you say that at the time? Because I was 22 and scared of disagreeing with Mom in front of investors. Because I thought there would be other opportunities to bring it up later. Because I was a coward. Though his voice was full of regret. Jess, I've thought about that meeting 1,000 times. You had a solution to problems we didn't even realize. I felt a complicated mix of vindication and sympathy. David had recognized the value of my ideas, but hadn't been willing or able to support them when it mattered. So, now you're asking if I know anyone who might buy the company. I know it's a long shot, but you work in tech now, right? Maybe you know some investors or acquirers who specialize in medical devices? I'm not asking for money. Or favors, just if you happen to know someone who might be interested in a distressed acquisition. I looked around my Phoenix Solutions office. We had the capital, expertise, and industry knowledge to turn around a struggling medical device manufacturer. More importantly, we had the exact technology solutions that could modernize Morrison Medical's product line. David, what if I told you I might know someone? Really? Someone legitimate who actually understands the medical device industry? Someone who specializes in modernizing small medical equipment manufacturers? Someone who's developed exactly the kind of integrated software solutions that could differentiate Morrison Medical from the competition. Hope crept into his voice. That sounds too good to be true. What would they want in terms of price? In conditions? The silence after my Christmas revelation stretched forever. Marcus was first to break it, his voice barely a whisper. You own Phoenix Solutions? Founded it 6 years ago, I said matter-of-factly. We specialize in modernizing medical equipment manufacturers through software integration and operational improvements. Mom stared at the documents like they were written in a foreign language. But you work with computers. I work with medical technology software. It's the same technology I tried to show you. 8 years ago, Dad picked up one of the incorporation papers and studied it. Phoenix Solutions, incorporated in Texas. Jessica as CEO and sole proprietor. He looked up with something that might have been pride. You built a real company. A real company that's about to acquire Morrison Medical for $2.80 million. Marcus pushed back from the table abruptly. Al, this is insane. You can't just disappear for 8 years and then buy us out like we're some distressed investment. That's exactly what you are. A distressed investment. David called me 6 months ago because you were facing bankruptcy. I made a fair offer through legitimate channels. You accepted it? David called you? Mom's voice was sharp. David, you called Jessica? My younger brother looked miserable but nodded. We needed help, Mom. The company was dying, and I didn't know what else to do. So, you went behind my back to contact the daughter who abandoned us? I asked if she knew anyone who might buy the company. I didn't know she was going to be the buyer. I pulled out my phone and showed them Phoenix Solutions' website. 6 years ago, I had one client and worked from a bedroom office. Today we have 38 installations across 5 states, 7 employees, and $750,000 in annual revenue. Mom took my phone and scrolled through the website, her expression changing as she read. You develop software for medical monitoring equipment, predictive analytics systems that integrate with existing monitors to provide early warning. Capabilities, the exact technology I proposed in that meeting 8 years ago. The meeting where She stopped, finally understanding the full scope. The meeting where you told me I was playing with computers while adults handled serious business. Where you sent me to organize files while Marcus presented expansion plans that never materialized. Marcus stood suddenly, knocking over his wine glass. This is revenge, pure and simple revenge. This is business. Phoenix Solutions is looking to expand into hardware manufacturing. Morrison Medical has manufacturing capabilities but outdated technology and poor management. It's a logical acquisition, poor management. Mom's voice was getting higher. I built this company from nothing after your grandfather died. You maintained what Grandpa built but didn't grow it, didn't modernize it, didn't adapt to market changes. In 8 years, your revenue stayed flat while competitors grew 20 to 30% annually. Dad was still studying the documents. Jessica, how did you know we were in financial trouble? Industry publications, public filings, client feedback. It wasn't hard to research. David's call just confirmed what I already suspected. You've been watching us? Marcus asked. I've been tracking industry consolidation. Trends. Small manufacturers that refuse to modernize typically get acquired or go bankrupt. I was hoping Morrison Medical would be an acquisition opportunity rather than a bankruptcy situation. Mom set down my phone and looked directly at me for the first time. Why? Why would you want to save the company that rejected you? This was the question I'd been preparing for. Because Grandpa loved this company. Because 25 people depend on it for their livelihoods. Because the technology exists to make Morrison Medical successful again. Happen to own that technology, and because you want to prove us wrong, David said quietly. I considered denying it, but decided on honesty. Yes, that too. The room fell quiet again. Finally, Dad cleared his throat. What happens? Now, what are your plans? Integration with Phoenix Solutions technology platform. Modernization of the product line. Streamlined operations. Better management structure. I paused, looking around the table. Yes, personnel changes. You're firing Marcus? Mom said flatly. Restructuring the organization. Around competence rather than family relationships. Marcus can stay if he's willing to learn new skills and accept a role matching his capabilities. So, I work for my little sister now. Marcus laughed bitterly. The little sister who proposed the technology that's now going to save your company. Enough, Dad said firmly. Jessica, are you doing this to help us or hurt us? I thought about that question carefully. I'm doing this because it's the right business decision for Phoenix Solutions. The fact that it also saves Morrison Medical is secondary. But you're not going to destroy us out of spite. Dad, if I wanted to destroy Morrison Medical, I could have waited 6 months for you to go bankrupt naturally. The week between Christmas and New Year's was when reality set in. Stayed in Boston to begin integration, working from a hotel room and spending days at Morrison Medical, trying to understand exactly what I'd bought. The financial situation was worse than David had indicated. The company owed $180,000 to suppliers, had less than $15,000 cash on hand, and faced a $25,000 equipment lease payment in January they couldn't make. Without Phoenix Solutions, Morrison Medical would have been bankrupt by February. But the problems went deeper than cash flow. The product line consisted of 3 basic heart monitor models that hadn't been updated in over 5 years. Manufacturing equipment was functional, but inefficient. Most critically, they had no research and development capability whatsoever. I spent 2 days going through client files and discovered they'd lost contracts, not because their equipment didn't work, but because it didn't do what modern medical practices needed. Clinics wanted monitors interfacing with electronic health records. Hospitals needed devices providing data analytics. Regional medical centers required equipment integrating with existing monitoring networks. On December 30th, I called a family meeting to present my findings. We met in the Same conference room, where I'd been humiliated 8 years earlier, but this time I sat at the head, where Mom usually sat. The good news is that Morrison Medical has excellent name recognition, solid client relationships, and a reputation for reliable equipment. The bad news is that reliable isn't enough anymore. I pulled out competitor analysis, market research, and client feedback reports. In 3 years, you've lost contracts worth approximately $400,000 annually because clients needed capabilities you couldn't provide. Mom reviewed the reports with growing dismay. I had no idea the market had changed this much. It didn't change all at once. It's been evolving gradually for years, but you weren't tracking industry trends or investing in product development. Marcus, unusually quiet, finally spoke. So everything we've been doing is wrong. I'm saying what worked in 2010 doesn't work in 2023. Medical practices expect integrated software solutions, not standalone hardware. But our clients were happy with our equipment? Your remaining clients are happy? The clients you lost needed more advanced capabilities. I pulled out another report. Marcus, in 2 years as sales director, you generated $85,000. In new business, while the company lost contracts worth $400,000. Client retention wasn't sufficient to offset market evolution. His face went red, but he didn't argue with numbers. David was studying technical specifications I'd prepared. Jessica, this Phoenix Solution software? This is exactly what Dr. Lannister was asking about 3 years ago, and what Regional Medical wanted when they canceled their contract. I know, Phoenix Solutions' current clients are primarily small to medium medical practices that need affordable access to predictive analytics. Morrison Medical's traditional client base. Mom looked up from financial projections. So the technology you proposed 8 years ago would have prevented most of these problems. The core technology, yes. But implementation would have required substantial investment in software development, staff training, and marketing to practices needing integrated solutions. Investment we didn't make because I thought your ideas were impractical. Investment you didn't make because you assumed the market would stay the same forever. Understandable for a small family business, but not sustainable in a rapidly evolving industry. Dad had been silent, but now spoke up. What changes? Are you proposing? I opened my laptop and projected a presentation. Phase 1. Integrate Phoenix Solutions software with Morrison Medical's hardware. Phase 2. Retrain sales and technical staff. Phase 3. Rebuild client relationships based on enhanced capabilities, rather than just price and reliability. What about personnel? Mom asked. This was the difficult part. The company employed 25 people, but the restructured operation needed different skill sets. I'll need to make some changes. Who gets laid off? Marcus asked bluntly. 2 manufacturing technicians whose positions will be eliminated by automation. 1 administrative assistant whose responsibilities will be absorbed by new software systems. I paused. And the sales director position will be restructured into a customer success manager with different responsibilities. Marcus stared at me. You're demoting me? I'm creating a position matching your actual strengths. You're excellent at maintaining relationships with existing clients. But you struggle with technical sales and new business development. What's the pay cut? No pay cut. Same salary. Different responsibilities with performance bonuses based on client satisfaction metrics rather than sales volume. This surprised him. You're not punishing me financially? I'm restructuring around what each person does well. Punishment doesn't improve business performance. The first 6 months of integration were harder than expected, but not for the reasons I'd anticipated. The technical challenges were manageable. Phoenix Solutions software integrated smoothly with Morrison Medical's hardware. The real difficulties were human. Mom struggled most with the transition. For 30 years, she'd been the final authority on every decision. Now, she was a consultant who provided input but didn't make decisions. Some days she handled it gracefully, offering valuable insights about client relationships. Other days she'd forget her new role and try to overrule my decisions, creating staff confusion. Jessica, "We can't change the installation timeline for regional medical," she said during a February staff meeting. "They're expecting delivery next week, and we've always been reliable about commitments." "Mom, regional medical agreed to a 2-week delay so we can include the predictive analytics upgrade. They specifically requested the enhanced system, even though it means waiting longer. But we've never made clients wait for upgrades before, so we've never had upgrades to offer before. The enhanced system is worth the wait." These exchanges were awkward for everyone, but gradually Mom began understanding that her role was providing context and relationship insights, not managing operations. Marcus surprisingly adapted better than anyone expected. The customer success manager position turned out perfect for his personality and skills. He was genuinely good at maintaining relationships with existing clients, solving service problems, and ensuring customer satisfaction without the pressure of generating new sales. He relaxed into a role where he could focus on keeping people happy rather than trying to close deals he didn't understand. I talked to Dr. Patterson at Quincy Medical today. He reported during a March staff meeting. They're thrilled with the new monitoring system. The predictive alerts have helped them identify 3 potential cardiac events before patients showed symptoms. "Any issues with the software interface?" I asked. "None. The nurses love how intuitive it is. And Dr. Patterson says the data visualizations are exactly what he needs to make quick decisions." This was the Marcus I remembered from childhood. Enthusiastic, personable, genuinely interested in helping people. The sales pressure and family expectations had turned him into someone defensive and insecure. But customer success work let him be himself again. David thrived in his expanded technical role. With proper resources and support staff, he could finally focus on what he did best, solving complex technical problems and training medical staff to use sophisticated equipment. The $15,000 salary increase meant he could afford night classes in advanced biomedical engineering, positioning him for greater responsibilities as the company grew. The installation at Austin Regional went perfectly, he reported during an April video conference from Boston while I was in Austin. Their IT department was impressed with how seamlessly our system integrated with their existing network. They're already asking about expanding to additional departments. "What about training?" I asked. 4 hours for nursing staff, 2 hours for doctors. Everyone was comfortable with the system by day's end. The interface design makes it intuitive, even for people who aren't technical. Dad remained the steady presence he'd always been, handling financial management and administrative tasks without drama or complaint. He seemed genuinely happy to see the company stabilizing and growing, and never showed resentment about his daughter becoming his boss. But the integration wasn't just about family dynamics, it had real business challenges. The hardest part was letting go of the 2 manufacturing technicians and 1 administrative assistant, whose positions were eliminated by automation and new software systems. These were people who had worked for Morrison Medical for years, and terminating them felt terrible, even though it was necessary for survival. I handled each conversation personally, providing generous severance packages and job placement assistance. The administrative assistant found a position at a nearby medical practice within 3 weeks. 1 manufacturing technician was hired by a competing company, impressed by his Morrison Medical experience. The other decided to use his severance to go back to school for computer programming. "You didn't have to be so generous with the severance," Mom said after the last termination. "Yes, I did. These people helped build Morrison Medical. The fact that we don't need their positions anymore doesn't diminish their contributions." By May, the restructured company was hitting its stride. Revenue was up 40% over the previous year, driven entirely by existing clients upgrading to enhanced monitoring systems. We hadn't even begun serious new business development. Was spreading about Morrison Medical's new capabilities. 2 years after the acquisition, was reviewing quarterly reports that would have seemed impossible just a few years earlier. Morrison Medical, now Phoenix, Morrison Medical Solutions, is generating $1.2 million annually and employing 15 people. We'd become exactly what I'd envisioned, a regional leader in smart medical monitoring systems. The transformation had been more complete than anyone expected. Our 3 product lines covered every market segment, from small clinics to major hospitals. More importantly, we'd established ourselves as the go-to company for medical practices, wanting hospital-grade capabilities at regional company prices. Mom had evolved into a role I'd never imagined, a genuine mentor and institutional memory keeper. Her resistance to technology had gradually given way to curiosity, then competence, then actual enthusiasm for what our systems could accomplish. Dr. Lannister called this morning, she reported during our weekly staff meeting. Austin Regional Clinic wants to upgrade their entire monitoring network with our latest predictive algorithms. What's the timeline? I asked. 6 weeks for installation, but he's requesting that David personally handle the training. Apparently, our reputation for customer service is spreading. David beamed at this recognition. His transformation had been remarkable. From an overworked, underappreciated technician to a confident technical supervisor managing a team of 4 specialists. He'd completed his MBA coursework the previous spring and was taking on increasing operational responsibility. I've been thinking about the Boston Medical Center expansion project, he said. They want to add remote monitoring capabilities for cardiac rehabilitation patients. I think we could develop a mobile app that interfaces with our existing system. How long for development? 3 months with our current programming team, or 6 weeks if we bring in one of Phoenix Solutions, senior developers from Austin. Do it. Boston Medical could become a showcase for home monitoring capabilities. Marcus looked up from his client satisfaction reports. If we're doing home monitoring, I should start reaching out to our other hospital clients. Regional Medical has been asking about remote patient management for months. This was the Marcus I'd hoped would emerge. Proactive, strategic. Thinking beyond immediate problems to anticipate client needs. The customer success manager role had given him confidence and clear objectives, allowing him to contribute meaningfully rather than just maintaining status quo relationships. Good idea, but let's pilot the system with Boston Medical first. Get the bugs worked out, then roll it out to other clients with proven capabilities. Dad raised his hand slightly, a habit he'd developed when he wanted to contribute to business discussions. What about financial projections for mobile development? We'll need additional programmer salaries, software licensing, probably some hardware partnerships. Initial investment of about $80,000 for development and testing. Break even within 18 months based on conservative adoption rates. Mom studied the numbers. 2 years ago, $80,000 would have bankrupted us. Now, it's a routine development expense. 2 years ago, we were manufacturing the same basic monitors we'd been making for 15 years. Now we're developing cutting-edge solutions for evolving market needs. Because you've brought the technology we should have been developing all along. It was an acknowledgement she'd made several times over the past year, and I appreciated it, but I was more interested in looking forward than relitigating the past. Phoenix Morrison Medical was succeeding because we'd combined Morrison Medical's industry relationships with Phoenix Solutions' technical capabilities. The real measure of our success wasn't just financial, it was the impact we were having on patient care. Dr. Lannister had documented 12 cardiac events prevented by early intervention. Based on our predictive algorithms, Boston Medical reported a 30% reduction in emergency room visits among high-risk cardiac patients using our monitoring systems. We got another site visit request, David reported. University of Vermont Medical Center wants to see our Boston Medical installation before making their decision. That's the 3rd site visit request this month, Marcus added. Word is definitely spreading about what we can do. The meeting with Boston Healthcare Ventures took place 3 weeks later. The venture capital partners were impressed by our financial performance and excited about our technology platform. But their questions revealed assumptions about scaling that made me uncomfortable. Obviously, you'd want to automate more of the manufacturing process, one partner suggested, and probably centralize customer service rather than handling support locally. Why would we want to do that? Mom asked. Our local relationships and personalized service are competitive advantages. After the meeting, I realized that taking venture capital would fundamentally change what Phoenix Morrison Medical was. The investors wanted us to become a smaller, version of the large manufacturers we were competing against, rather than a more sophisticated version of the regional company we'd always been. The call from the Boston Chamber of Commerce came on a Tuesday morning in September, 3 years after the acquisition. Ms. Morrison, this is Patricia Williams from the Small Business Awards Committee. I'm calling to inform you that Phoenix Morrison Medical Solutions has been selected as this year's recipient of the Small Business Innovation Award. I set down my coffee and tried to process what she'd just said. Could you repeat that? The Small Business Innovation Award. It recognizes companies that have demonstrated exceptional growth through technological innovation while maintaining strong community ties. Your company was nominated by several clients and selected unanimously by our review committee. The award ceremony was scheduled for October 15th at the downtown Marriott, with over 300 business leaders, elected officials, and community members expected to attend. They wanted me to give a brief acceptance speech about our journey and what the recognition meant. After hanging up, I sat in my office for several minutes, remembering the struggling family business I'd acquired just 3 years earlier. Phoenix Morrison Medical now employed 18 people, generated over $1.4 million in annual revenue, and had installations in 6 states. We'd become exactly what small business success stories were supposed to look like. That's incredible news, Mom said when I told her about the award. 30 years I ran Morrison Medical, and we were never recognized for anything, except paying our bills on time. It's a different company, different capabilities, but built on the foundation you maintained for 30 years. The awards ceremony was both gratifying and surreal. I sat at a table with my family, Mom, Dad, Marcus, and David, listening to Patricia Williams read our company's accomplishments to Boston's business community. Phoenix Morrison Medical Solutions has grown from a struggling family manufacturer to a regional leader in smart medical monitoring systems. She announced their innovative integration of software analytics with traditional medical devices has created new possibilities for small medical practices, while maintaining the personalized service that distinguishes regional companies from national corporations. When she called my name to accept the award, I walked to the podium with a mixture of pride and disbelief. 3 years ago, I'd been the dismissed daughter who couldn't handle serious business meetings. Now I was being recognized as an innovative business leader by the same community that had witnessed my family's struggles. Thank you for this recognition, I began, looking out at the audience. But I want to be clear about something. This award doesn't belong just to me. It belongs to everyone who believed that a small family business could evolve into something bigger without losing what made it special. I found Mom in the audience and continued. My mother, Catherine, built Morrison Medical into a respected company that served its clients faithfully for 30 years. That reputation and those relationships made everything else possible. Mom was crying, and I could see Dad reaching over to squeeze her hand. My brother David provided the technical expertise and dedication that kept the company running during difficult times. My brother Marcus developed the client relationships that created the foundation for our current growth. I paused, thinking about everything that had led to this moment. But most importantly, this award represents what happens when people are willing to admit they were wrong, learn new skills, and work together toward common goals instead of protecting individual pride. The applause was enthusiastic, but what mattered to me was the expression on my family's faces. For the first time since I'd returned to Boston, we looked like people who genuinely respected and supported each other. After the ceremony, a reporter from the Boston Business Journal approached me. Ms. Morrison, there are rumors that you actually owned the company that acquired Morrison Medical. Can you comment on that? Phoenix Morrison Medical is the result of combining Phoenix Solutions technology with Morrison Medical's manufacturing capabilities and client relationships. It's a merger that has benefited everyone involved. But you founded Phoenix Solutions after leaving Morrison Medical, correct? I looked over at Mom, who was talking with other award recipients and clearly enjoying the recognition. The important story is that a small family business was able to adapt to changing market conditions and grow into something more successful than anyone expected. That's what we should be celebrating tonight. The next morning, Mom knocked on my office door and asked if she could speak with me privately. I want to say something, And I need you to listen without interrupting, she began. Okay. 8 years ago, I humiliated you in front of investors because I was afraid of admitting that my 24-year-old daughter understood our industry better than I did. Sent you away because it was easier than acknowledging that I'd been wrong. About technology, wrong about market trends, and wrong about your capabilities. 5 years after that Christmas dinner revelation, I'm sitting in the same conference room where I was once told to fetch coffee while adults handled serious business. The difference is that now this room hosts weekly strategy meetings for a company worth $1.8 million, employing 22 people and serving medical facilities across 8 states. Phoenix Morrison Medical Solutions has become everything I envisioned. When I first proposed software integration 9 years ago, a regional leader that combines advanced technology with personalized service, proving that small companies can innovate as effectively as large corporations if they're willing to embrace change. But the real transformation wasn't technological or financial.
Ow.
It was personal. The family that had dismissed my ideas and sent me into exile learned to work together as professionals who respected each other's contributions. It wasn't always smooth, and it wasn't always easy, but it was genuine growth rather than forced reconciliation. Mom officially retired last year at 63, but still comes to the office twice a week to handle special client relationships and mentor newer employees. The woman who once believed women couldn't understand technical business now advocates for promoting capable people regardless of gender, and she's become particularly effective at encouraging young women interested in medical technology careers. David has flourished as operations manager, completing his MBA and taking on increasing responsibility for strategic planning and business development. At 35, he's become the technical leader I always knew he could be when he wasn't being overshadowed by family dynamics and unrealistic expectations. Marcus, now 40, has become genuinely excellent at client relationship management. The customer success manager role allowed him to develop skills that were always there but never properly utilized. He's engaged to Jennifer, a nurse practitioner. He met through our client network, and they're planning a wedding for next spring. Dad, now 65, handles financial management with the same steady competence he's always shown, but seems genuinely happy to be part of a growing business rather than just maintaining the status quo. He and Mom have started traveling together, something they never did during the years when the company was struggling and consuming all their attention. As for me, I split my time between our Austin headquarters, where Phoenix Solutions continues developing new medical software applications, and our Boston facility, where Phoenix Morrison Medical manufactures and installs integrated monitoring systems. I'm 37 now, unmarried, but not lonely, focused on building something sustainable rather than proving something to people who no longer need convincing. The irony is that I achieved everything I wanted when I stormed out of that investor meeting 9 years ago. Professional recognition, technological validation, financial success, and the satisfaction of proving that dismissed ideas can become industry-changing innovations. But the process taught me that getting what you want isn't the same as getting what you need. What I needed was a family that respected my capabilities and valued my contributions. What I got was the opportunity to create that family relationship through demonstrated competence rather than inherited right. It took longer than I'd hoped, and it required more patience than I'd expected. But the result has been more satisfying than simple vindication would have been. Tomorrow we start working on our next challenge, a comprehensive patient monitoring system for rural hospitals that combines all our current capabilities with new remote diagnostic features. It's exactly the kind of ambitious project that would have been impossible for the old Morrison Medical. But it's routine work for Phoenix Morrison Medical Solutions. The dismissed daughter who was sent to organize files while adults handled serious business is now the CEO who leads strategy meetings and makes final decisions about million-dollar contracts. But more importantly, she's part of a family that has learned to function as a team, respecting each person's contributions while working toward shared success. Phoenix Morrison Medical Solutions employs 22 people who depend on us for their livelihoods, serves medical facilities that depend on us for reliable equipment, and provides predictive analytics that help prevent cardiac emergencies in patients. Across 8 states, we've saved lives, created jobs, and proven that regional companies can compete with national corporations through better service and smarter technology. But most importantly, we've demonstrated that people can grow, change, and learn to work together effectively, even after significant conflicts and disappointments. The family business that almost failed because of rigid thinking and interpersonal dysfunction has become a model for how different generations can collaborate successfully when they focus on contribution rather than hierarchy. Mom learned too. Value innovation over tradition. Marcus discovered abilities he never knew he had. David developed leadership skills that were always present but never encouraged. Dad found satisfaction in being part of something growing rather than just surviving. And me, I learned that proving people wrong is less satisfying than helping them become right. The best outcome isn't success that excludes the people who doubted you. It's success that includes them as partners in building something none of you could have achieved alone. The Morrison family business survived, adapted, and thrived. And so did the Morrison family itself.